Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab. It's Thursday.
Yep.
It's 7 o'clock. It's time for us to hit the go button and talk a little bit about WordPress. So this is WPwatercooler. It's episode number 80. We're going to be talking about a lot of really cool stuff tonight. In particular, we're going to be talking about boosting e-commerce with opt-ins. And so before we get started, we'd like to introduce ourselves. And Bridget, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everybody. I'm the co-host for WPblab, a show on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Part of the WP Watercooler Network. I'm also the marketing manager for Give, the most robust online donation plugin for WordPress. We just released 1.8.12. Download today, and you can learn more at givewp.com.
Woohoo!
Sounds like you read that off a teleprompter. That was very
it's in my brain, Scotty. In my brain.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker. That's where I do a bunch of stuff over on Twitter. And my blog is jasontucker.blog. Feel free to go take a look at that. And as Bridget said, yeah, there's a bunch of shows on WP Watercooler Network. Feel free to go take a look at all of those at WPwatercooler.com. We would appreciate it. So we like to be rude and introduce ourselves. Let's no longer be rude. Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Then my name's Scott Bollinger, co-founder of AppPresser and creator of Hollerbox. And you can find me on Twitter at Scott Bollinger.
1L.
Yeah, that's right. 1L. Unlike all the images and advertising for WPblab tonight.
Hey, man, I was really quick to actually fix all that stuff, all right?
Yep. Nice work.
So I want to do a quick shout out to the folks that are in our chat room that are helping us out. If you're listening to this outside of the normal hours, which is 7 o'clock on Thursdays, we have a lively chat room that helps us out with our Google Docs and being able to do all of our show notes and everything regarding this. So I want to say thank you very much for Cheryl and Sherry for helping us out with that. James usually hops in there and helps out. He at least puts in a couple dashes wherever he needs to on certain words and stuff. But I really appreciate all the efforts that you guys put into helping us out with that every single week. It allows me and allows Bridget to actually just sit there and actually do our jobs instead of having to write a bunch of stuff. All right, so enough with all of that. Let's talk a little bit about e-commerce.
What's that?
Yeah, that's a good question. What is e-commerce? Softball.
What is e-commerce, Scott?
E-commerce. Selling stuff online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the challenge of selling stuff online that requires you to put some type of little box on your website that says, hey, put in your email address so we can send you offers? Like, what is the challenge there in doing that?
Yeah, well, I think it's the same as with any website where you get all this traffic, or at least you try to get traffic, and then most of the people who come to your site leave and you never hear from them again. And so the whole point is to get their contact information so that you can follow up with them. And that's the same is true e-commerce or really any website that's trying to do something interesting. So I think one of the biggest difficulties with e-commerce is that not all e-commerce sites have anything beyond just their products on it. So someone might come browse products, but not necessarily have a reason to hand over their email address. Whereas if you have like a blog, you might be able to say, hey, we have this great newsletter, we're putting out all this great content, sign up and we'll send it to you. And it's much easier to get someone's email when you're doing that. A lot of e-commerce sites are light on content. So it's, they might offer a discount or something like that to get people's email. But beyond that, I think you really have to put a lot of work in and get creative on the e-commerce side to be collecting people's information.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, I remember going, if you go onto any website, especially Amazon, Amazon's like either the best or the worst, depending on how you want to look at it. You go and you buy a new detergent. You're like, oh, new detergent. This is great. I just bought this thing. It just arrived in the mail. I used it. It's awesome. It's amazing. And then they send you an email and they're like, hey, so thanks for buying that detergent. That was really awesome of you. Oh, by the way, did you know you can also buy fabric softener from us? And you can also buy this. You can also buy that. And there's all these other related products that are kind of tied into that. e-commerce is doing that as well, especially when it comes to WordPress stuff. I mean, there's probably tons of stuff with WooCommerce to be able to kick off those types of emails, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you're talking about Amazon. I mean, Amazon has most people's information just because they're doing all kinds of, like, you know, you have your Prime account, you're buying multiple things from them. I think it's much more challenging with a smaller e-commerce site because they don't, you know, you might be just selling one category of product, or maybe you're not, most people are not like Amazon where you have that type of rapport with the customer. So it's much more difficult to kind of keep in contact with them. So, you know, I think in my opinion, the solution for e-commerce sites and really for any site is to be generating lots of great content and not necessarily just talking about your company or your product necessarily, but great content that your customers want to see. And that's a good way to kind of lead into collecting their emails because they want to get more of this great content from you. I think that's really difficult as an e-commerce site because you're so focused on the products and the whole process behind, you know, if you have multiple products, you're stocking them, you're doing inventory, you're shipping, or even if you're just selling digital products, I mean, you're coding, you're doing support. There's just so much that goes into these businesses, and creating content is this whole other beast that is so difficult to do. And so many companies don't do it just because they don't have the time, the money, or maybe even the motivation to be doing it. So the companies that do it really well, I think, succeed, you know, much better than other companies, just because it's a great way to get people to your site and then to be able to collect their emails and follow up with them.
Yeah, and that has to be a challenge to get people to sign up. I mean, anybody could write great content, right, Bridget?
You know, that's my job.
I'm just messing with you, Bridget. But look, you're writing great content about the products that you're selling in your store, and you want people to actually read that content, and you want to essentially send it to their front door. And the only way you can do that is via email. I mean, you can spam them on Twitter, you can spam them on Facebook, you can do all those different ways of kind of telling everybody, hey, here's some cool stuff that we're doing. But until you actually send them an email and say, hey, click on this link and go take a look at this thing, you're not making it to their front door, right?
Oh, here's the thing. It takes 7 to 10 interactions before you can win a customer of them consuming your content in whatever form. So spam, I don't say spam. I say, because spam is something we don't want. Spam is already nasty. And then you make it into spam, which is some World War II rationing thing. It should have never.
One of my dad's favorite foods, actually.
So is my mom.
There's entire islands out there that absolutely love to eat that stuff.
That's fine. But, you know, some people like it, and some people also like BuzzFeed. But the truth is that you have to be top of mind with these people. So, Scott, I know that you're really into content as well as being a developer. So talk to us a little bit about earning that trust over those touch points.
Yeah, so one of my big strategies with Hollerbox is to use content marketing for customer acquisition, and it's really, really difficult. You know, we all read these articles and hear about how to really write great content. You know, we have to write these really good articles and we have to get people to see it and everything, but until you really do it yourself and really do it full steam, you know, at least myself, I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be, especially if you have a site that is just getting started. So if you have a small audience and low traffic to your site, getting people there is so hard. So hard, but it's definitely possible. And I think
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I mean, I really, like, I see a lot of people in the WordPress community, honestly, doing content sort of like halfway because they don't have time for it. And it's totally understandable to not have time for it. But I just don't think that is worth your time. I think if you're going to do content, you have to do it all the way, or else unless you already have an audience and you're writing stuff that they're interested in, that's totally understandable. But, you know, like, for example, with Hollerbox, you know, I wrote probably 6 or 7 posts and just kind of didn't have much of a strategy, just kind of wrote what I thought would be interesting, even spent quite a bit of time on a couple of them. and did like a video and to go with them and stuff that I thought was pretty good content, and just nothing happened, you know, like nobody shared it, nobody came to the site, things like that. So what I decided to do was start to get much more strategic about it, and actually have a plan before I write the post of all the way through of like, what am I going to do with this post? Who's going to share it? Like, how am I going to get traffic to the site? What's the whole strategy? And since I started doing that, it has made a huge difference. So, you know, my strategy is basically before writing the post, basically I think about writing something that influencers would want to share, which is really important. I'm not writing content that I think that my audience would enjoy. That's a very important distinction. I'm writing content that I think influencers will share. And the reason for that is because your audience most likely is not, or at least my audience, like people who buy my product, a lot of those people are not going to be sharing the post, and I need it to be shared because I have a small audience. So number one is writing for people who will share it. Number two is thinking about those people by name and knowing exactly who they are, not thinking about generalities. Like, I'm not going to write a post for people who like WordPress or people who like WooCommerce, because that is not going to get me anywhere. What I have to write about is something that I think people who I know by name will share it, so they'll be interested in it. And then if they like sharing it, then other people will also enjoy sharing it. But you have to have a way to kind of like get it going, get the ball rolling, you know, when you have a small audience. So then you write an amazing piece of content, which is, you know, much more difficult than it sounds. Takes, you know, I spend over 10 hours per article, at least the last few of them, 10 to 20 hours per article. And then, you know, publishing it, sharing it, promoting it. And I've seen the last 2 posts that I've been very intentional about that has just made a huge difference. And it's been a night and day between just kind of writing content that I thought was good and just kind of putting it out there. And I think this is really difficult for pretty much everybody, which is why not a lot of people do it and why it works, because it takes a ton of time. It's really difficult and time consuming. But for me, I think it's a great long-term strategy, because like I've written content in the past for other sites that has, you know, over 5,000 views per month for one article, like consistently for years. And that's just one article. And so like if you spend the time up front, it's going to pay you back in spades over time. It's just that it's so much of a front heavy thing where you're not getting paid any money for it. You're not going to see results for months. Like, you're not going to see any organic rankings for months and months. And I'm totally okay with that. I like, that's what I signed up for, because in 6 months to a year, I want to see my organic rankings growing, my traffic growing. I want to be getting more backlinks, things like that. But just kind of getting the ball rolling is an uphill battle.
Yes, and thank you for saying that, because I was just going to interrupt you like a couple sentences ago.
Sorry, I can't talk for a long time.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. It means I have to talk less. Well, here's the thing. Content is long-term, and the internet lives forever. So it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, if it doesn't produce instant results. The whole of it becomes a resource. So like with Give, we have lots of different reasons why we write things. Sometimes it's just to be found for this one thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just to be a soft sell. Like, we want to be the expert in the nonprofit space. It's not even about WordPress or about donations. It's just being a helpful person. Usually the psychology of being helpful is very motivating, because subconsciously people feel obligated to you. So you kind of touched on that a little bit with like thinking of that influencer. I'm writing this for Simon Sinek to share, because I know he's going to want to share this. You know, so can you talk a little bit about when you're writing for that person to share, like the psychology of it, the mindset of that?
Yeah, well, there's a few different things that go into it. One is you can include people in the post, and like by getting quotes from them, or just talking about their business and linking to them, and those people are much more likely to share. Another thing is what you described, is just kind of being helpful around the community. And I think actually you guys at Give are probably the best example of this in the WordPress community is just kind of just being around and being helpful to everybody else. And when like that comes back to you eventually, that reciprocity that you're talking about. I'm not as good at that. Like I try to be helpful and stuff, but I feel like you guys are way better at that than other people I see, including me. Also, I had another guy just recently that was, he like kind of emailed me and like asked me, he was like, hey, I have this cool article, you know, you want to link to it from your site because it would fit in well here. And I was kind of like, nah, no thanks. But then he like did a bunch of stuff for me, was like contacting, he was like just helping me out in a bunch of different ways. And then like a few weeks later, he was like, oh, hey, here's some stuff that I was helping you with. Oh, by the way, you know, I just want to ask you one more time, what do you think about that link? And like I put it in my article because like he had helped me out so much in these other ways. I was like, yeah, sure. Like he kind of earned it. So like that's a great way to get backlinks is but like it takes so much work to get like one link. I mean, it's crazy.
And I think that work needs to be, it can't be like what the Jason Tucker way of working is, which is to put an RSS feed into, you know, IFTTT and then have it automatically just spit out a bunch of posts that says like, oh, this is awesome. Go click on this link. Like that work needs to be like, you know, I read this article. Here's the top 3 things I got out of the article, and you should go, you know, take a look at this. Or you know, there's a couple of people in our local community here that will actually write blog posts about other people's blog posts. They'll say like, I got a ton of value out of this one blog post. Here's how I took this information and I, not just regurgitating it, but like I took this information and I really applied it to a particular website I was working on. And here's the results of it. And here's what I got out of it. And by the way, this link that I'm putting in this article, you know, doesn't have any affiliate links or anything like that on it. It's just like, here you go.
Yeah,
So,
I think those type of backlinks happen organically sometimes, but when you're first starting out, it's not enough. Like if you already have an established audience, like Give has a big enough audience where people know who they are. They're going to write articles about nonprofit like plugins and stuff, and they're going to get some links in there. But if you're just starting out and nobody knows about you, like you have to manually, you have to actually do manual outreach. So,
dude.
Yeah.
And we've been traveling like to WordCamps, like 47 WordCamps.
Yeah, you guys go to like every WordCamp. I can't believe it.
Well, that's this year, but last year wasn't that. Last year we published 4 times a week. I wrote a lot of those.
Oh, wow.
We stepped up our marketing. It wasn't all like, that's what I'm saying. It's a long game.
Yeah,
so
totally.
They first released it. They hired me to do social. Then we upped our blogging. Then we upped our attendance, and we kept the blogging going. Once a week is still very heavy and active.
That's a lot.
We had 4 pieces of content every week for about 9 months in a row.
That's a lot of content.
It is a lot of content. And so what happens is that's still true. It's still evergreen. You know, when you write evergreen content, it's good. It's valuable. It's still there. So then you could keep building on that. But it didn't start like that. We just went to Ottawa and people didn't know about Give. They're using, I don't even know what Canada gives, some SaaS thing. Like we think that everybody knows about us in Southern California because all of our friends are here. They don't. We go to Cincinnati, they didn't know about us. Went to Ottawa, they didn't know about us. Atlanta, didn't know about us.
Start knocking on doors and shaking hands and kissing babies, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. You speak, you talk to them, you make friends, you kiss babies, and I always,
baby.
I always say, like, here's the thing. In our marketing strategy, it is to treat people like they're friends. And I always say the reason why it works is they are our friends. Otherwise, you have cognitive dissonance.
Mic drop.
Because if you say you believe one way and you don't behave that way, then people basically know you're full of SHIT. But we call that cognitive dissonance in psychology. So let's talk a little bit about like writing with authenticity about your brand and who you are, and how do you deal with that? Like, people know you from AppPresser, people know you from Orange County, people know you from other brands. It's not that you're a brand new person that just started a plugin in the repo. I mean, everybody knows Scott Bollinger. Even if you don't know Scott Bollinger, you know Scott Bollinger. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
I knew you before.
Well, I want to I want to add a little bit to that, Bridget. So like one of the things that Scott was saying earlier, which I didn't even think about until he said it, and now I'm going to think about it all the time, is the fact that he's writing for his customers are not his customers are not his end customer. His customer are the agents that are installing the plugin for the end customer.
Right.
So
So
those influencers, or those developers are his influencers, because what he wants to have happen is he wants to say, because like, somebody who's trying to do an e-commerce site isn't going to go to Scott's site and go like, oh yeah, I need a pop-up box that asks for somebody's email address. No. What's going to end up happening is the developer is going to go and say, you know what, I need a value add. What's a good value add to add onto this thing? What's another line item that I could say, we just added it to this website, and this is what's really good about this thing. I'm going to get you more engagement. I'm going to get you more people signing up for your product or something like that, or to start getting those emails. He has to win those people over, because the end user could care less about it. They're just like,
wow.
They want to get what they're going to get out of it, but they don't care that
they want the results. They don't care about the technology. Right. And I would add to that even more.
Yeah.
Everybody I go to, all the meetups I go to, pop up, opt-in monster, pop up, opt-in monster. How are you overcoming that? Like, there's some fodder for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So what was the initial question? Because the initial question had a little bit to do with.
The question was about how do you blog about in your content marketing? How do you use authenticity, or do you, to gain that mutual respect? I mean, you're a developer. You're speaking to developers. You're respecting this community of developers. Okay. So how are you using authenticity? If so, how? Start with that one.
Yeah, so the way that I'm trying to do it is by creating content that is not only really good, but also like based on my personal experience and kind of written in the first person. So if you, like, for example, I wrote a post about discounts and how they could possibly hurt your brand or not. And that was based on conversations that I had with my friends and other company owners, product people, and kind of added my 2 cents in there. Whereas a lot of posts that you read will be by freelance writers, and they'll just kind of go and look at like, here's the 10 best plugins for showing discounts with WooCommerce, something like that. And it's just really kind of matter of fact and dry. What I'm trying to do is create great content, but also add value from my own experience there. And I think that, I don't know how that pertains to authenticity, but I think it's more just like building trust and just kind of showing like, hey, I do this myself, and I'm writing about it to help you. And hopefully that kind of builds trust between, me and my audience. To be honest, I don't know. I think you guys are doing a great job of being authentic out there, like going to WordCamps and just befriending people. I think that's an awesome way to do it as well. To get to the opt-in monster question, I didn't set out for Hollerbox to be a competitor with Opt-in Monster. Like I didn't make it to be an opt-in plugin. I really just built it because I wanted like a little teeny notification that wasn't super in your face, and I wanted it to be really easy to set up. And Opt-in Monster is awesome, but if you just want one little simple notification, it's not the easiest thing to set up, and it's kind of expensive if that's all you're doing. So for me, I think it's not trying to compete with them or trying to do what they do. I'm trying to find a niche in a different type of notification. Like, for example, we have these FOMO notifications, or like, sales notifications for WooCommerce and EDD, where it says like, Matt just bought, the pro version or whatever. And you see there's a couple other products that do this as well, but which is kind of like just a little pop-up, which I don't think, there's not really any other plugins that are doing that I know of. And so I'm trying to find these niches, like these little in-between areas that other plugins or products like Opt-in Monster aren't really covering, and kind of going there and really helping with sales and being a sales and conversion tool, but not just an opt-in plugin. So I will say I don't think I don't think it's perfected yet, like as far as my product market fit. I'm still working on it. But that's kind of the direction that I'm going. And I think that there's a niche there.
So about the sales and conversion tool aspect, what kinds of data does it give the user? What is it providing? For the people that haven't watched it, including me. Like
Sure.
all
So
the tutorials.
yeah, so it basically it'll show your your opt-in or your message, whatever you want it to be, and it'll show the impressions and the conversions so that you can get a conversion rate percentage and everything based on your holler boxes, and you can create a new one so that you can test how it did against the old one. There's options for how you want it to look, where you want it to be, how long you want it to show up, like what the user needs to do to show it, things like that. So you can try lots of different things.
So is the conversions incorporated into Google Analytics conversions?
No, it just shows you the number of impressions and then the number of conversions. So like it got shown 100 times and 10 people converted. So so you can get the conversion rate percentage based on that. So yeah, does that answer the question?
Can you A/B test and do more than one holler box?
Yeah, you can do more than one, and then you can kind of run one and then run another one. We don't have any simultaneous A/B testing features right now, though.
But like, can it be on a per page? If you built two different landing pages, could you have a different chat?
Yep.
Or box that pops up? Whatever.
Yeah, you can choose what pages it shows on, and then the pro version has a lot more filtering. Like you can choose a post type or a taxonomy, or you can exclude certain pages, things like that.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, like for instance, on WPwatercooler, where you're using it, if you're on the website right now, if you go to the bottom left-hand side, there's a little question mark that you click on that will pop up. That little box will, when you type in your email address, it goes straight into MailChimp, uses the MailChimp API, and it just, subscribes you to the mailing list. So that way you'll know when, more of these shows come out. But yeah, I mean, when I saw the demo of that Scott was doing for it, I was like, this is perfect. And I was doing the exact same thing you were doing, Bridget. I was like, so how do you chat with the customer? How do you interact with them? How do you start talking with them? Is it like intercom? Is it like this? Is it like that? And Scott's like, no, dude, it's none of those things. Like this thing literally says like, put in your email address and I'll contact you, and that's it. That's all. I'm like, this is awesome.
I know. I will admit that because it says holler.
Right.
I assumed it was chat.
Well, okay, so here's the thing: is
that's what people say in Oakland. Holla! Like that.
There's a fake live chat feature. So let me tell you about that. So
fake live chat.
Yeah, no, really, it is. It's fake live chat, and so basically, I've done live chat on AppPresser, and it sucks. I hate it because people are chatting to you all day long and you can't get anything else done, and all they do is ask you like dumb questions that are literally on the page right in front of them. So they'll be on the pricing page and be like, what is the price? And you'll be like, you're literally looking at the pricing page, looking at the prices, and you're asking me what the price is. And it's because when you use live chat, people get really, really lazy. They don't read anything that's on your site. They just go instantly to the live chat and ask all their questions. So if you take the live chat away, they would have done a little bit of more work and read it themselves. Now, the other thing is when you have a small team, the live chat, even if you want it to only be pre-sales and you only have it on like your pricing page and your checkout page or whatever, it doesn't matter. Your customers find that and they come and ask you support questions. So as soon as that starts happening, then you're literally on the live chat all day doing support. And when you have a small team, if you don't have like 2 or 3 people that are dedicated to live chat only, then it's just a huge waste of time. So myself, and I've talked to other product companies about this, they feel the same way. It doesn't work for small product teams. So I wanted to build a fake live chat because what I want to do is like if you use intercom, you start chatting on it, and then if nobody's there, if it's like their off hours, just a little email opt-in will pop up and it'll say, hey, we're not here, but enter your email, and it'll send us an email, and then we'll get back to you when we're back in the office. So what I wanted was just that, but I didn't want to pay intercom like $150 a month just for that. So so basically I built that into Hollerbox just as kind of like for the heck of it, just to like see what would happen. and actually put it up on my site, and like a bunch of people use it. So it's not for everybody, but I just thought it was kind of an interesting feature that people might want to use.
The part that's kind of rad for me, especially when it comes to the e-commerce side of things, is that it starts telling you that people are buying stuff on the site. Like, it's like, oh, so-and-so just bought this. So-and-so just bought that. That right there is like, yeah, the FOMO stuff. You're just like, oh, I need to buy it too. I need to, especially when you're on the Hollerbox site, because you're like, oh, am I going to spend $79 or $99? What should I do here? Oh, I need the thing that's going to tell you that we're doing it. Oh, I need to spend the $99 one. I can't buy the $79 one because that one doesn't have that feature. So like you can feel that kind of thing where you're just like, oh, this is so cool. I mean, when you have a site that has a lot of traffic with a lot of, what happens there? I mean, are you controlling like how many times it's going to do it? Does it just start going nuts on people, or what ends up happening there?
No, so you can choose when you want it to display. So like when I use that feature on my site, I have it show to a customer one time, and it's like you can change it to different settings, but I have it like 5 seconds after they hit the page, it'll pop up. It'll show the most recent sale from EDD or WooCommerce. I use EDD. And then after that, it'll go away, and it won't show them anything again for 24 hours. So they're not going to get a whole bunch of notifications. All they do is they see it once, and it goes away, and they're kind of like, oh, what was that? Somebody just bought something. That's kind of cool. And then they don't see it again at all, but it kind of in the back of their mind, just a subtle little reminder like, hey, other people are buying this. And then if they come back like a few days later, and they'll see it again, it'll be a new person who bought it. So they see that it's not fake, like it's actually real sales, and they're like, oh, but it's not overwhelming to them. And one thing, I'm actually writing an article on FOMO right now for Hollerbox for next week, but one of the things that I see, a mistake that I see people do is, like, I went to this site, and there was literally like 5 pop-ups in like 2 minutes with this stuff. And it was like, oh, like this person just answered a support ticket. This person just joined the email list. This person just purchased. Oh, I answered another support ticket. And I'm like this is overusing it. It's too much. And then like a live chat thing popped up too. And I'm like guys, like just dial it back a notch. Like this stuff needs to be subtle, or else it doesn't work at all. So like Bridget was saying earlier that she hates pop-ups, and it's because people overuse them, and they make them like these huge in-your-face pop-ups, and they have way too many of them, and it just gets completely abused, and then it ruins them for everybody. So that's kind of what I like about Hollerbox too, is that it's just really subtle notification that's kind of just in the corner, so that if you're reading a post or something, it's not in your face interrupting you. It's more like, hey, I'm here when you're ready, you know?
Yeah, like when you walk in a store and they want to know if you need help. Because the worst thing is walking to the Apple store. Okay, so I bought everything for Apple online. And then I went into the Apple store to get a dongle or something. Like, what is this place? There's no counter. You don't know. There's no thing to pull a ticket like at the post office. You don't even know what to do. So I'm going to devil's advocate, Scott, because I promised you I would. And so we just have to be friends after this interaction. That's the only thing. Okay, so this is the thing I have with some of my guys too. So you're not being, singled out. I think that when customers talk to you, it is good to get the insight. Often, we who are on our own websites know where things are, but the customer is having a hard time finding things. So when they're saying, if you're repeatedly getting people saying, I don't understand this price, and I will say that we're having the same trouble with our own product on a bundle, and it's a little bit of an internal dialogue. It's not that they're lazy, it's just that they are not as intimate with your product as we are with ours, right? So, like, I know what happens is we have support from 9 to 5 Pacific time. So when people have questions, we don't have chat, but you know what happens, Scott? Oh no, Devin just showed up in the chat. Hi, Davino! They go to social media. And so I'm on social media between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. And we have people in India, we have people all over the world, and they'll send messages on Facebook and Twitter in a DM or in a thing saying, I don't get this, what is happening? right? And then I try to send them to the contact form, and they're like, I don't get this either. So what about blindness to your own product? Oh, I mean, have you ever thought about having your mom or your cousin down the street product test this? I mean, I know you could use Hotjar. I mean, I know that it's hard because we're a small team. I mean, we're only 10. We're not Amazon. And there, you know, we have like a 3 or 4 support people, but it's 9 to 5, and the rest of it's social media. And I'm getting this notification going, well, I don't know, I'll ask Matt Caldwell, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, we're kind of talking about 2 related but different things. Like, you're basically talking about usability testing, which yeah,
and customer service and the intertwining of the attitude of it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. No, I get it. I think there's a lot of value in that, and you're
really edit
right.
that.
But I will put money on it right now. I will put money on it if we do usability tests and we have a site that has a chat box and a site with no chat box, and we give people a quiz afterwards on what that site said. 100% guarantee you that the site with the chat box people will know less about that website than the other people. I just think I think that
it's like pressing O on the phone. I just want to talk to a person. I press O. I don't even listen to the thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or it's like, you know, I could either read all this stuff, or I could just ask this person exactly what I'm looking for. And asking the person is just faster. Like, it's, I mean, lazy is harsh of me to say that, but really it's faster to ask the people. And so, but the thing that if you have the time to support it, or if you're just doing usability testing for a limited period of time, like live chat is great. I know a lot of people who love it, but honestly, when you have a high traffic site and you have a busy team, I just don't have time for it.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
If we agree on everything, it's not going to be a fun show.
You're right.
But you know, I will say that is a challenge to think about your audience from their perspective. And like, I can't even think that way anymore about Give, because I've been there too long. You know, we forget that we understand our jargon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. It's really hard to see things from the perspective of your customer when you're in it every day.
So how are, you know, we were talking earlier about the emails that you're sending out, and I kind of talked a little bit about how you're writing for a particular customer, which is the people that are going to be reselling your product essentially. How are you conveying to them, like, hey, I want you to, you know, install this on your customer site because it's going to be awesome? Because if you're selling, you know, if you're selling masonry, you're like bricks or something like that, or if you were selling cars, or if you were selling car parts or any of these sorts of things, these people are going to have to do the exact same thing, because you don't buy a car part and just put it on the shelf and you're like, I have a car part now. No. You're going to take that car part and you're going to install it in a car, and you're going to be like, this car part's the best car part because it fixes your car.
Right.
So that's what you're doing. Is you're
in my closet for like 3 years.
But you're selling those parts that other people are going to use on the website, and your customer, or the people that you're really trying to attract, are the ones that are going to go and install that product on their customer's site. So how are you kind of approaching that?
Yeah, so we have the same sort of dichotomy with AppPresser, where the people who are like buying and using our product are developers, but that isn't necessarily the person that is sort of making the first contact. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times the client will be like, hey, I want an app. I heard about AppPresser, like, you know, go check it out for me. And then the developer will go check it out, and they'll, you know, help the client purchase and sort of make the app. With Hollerbox, I honestly don't know 100% which one my main customer is going to be. I assume with most plugins, it's the developer that's kind of installing them, or the WordPress like assembler who's putting the sites together is doing it, not like, you know, the business owner or whatever for like a restaurant or a physical business. Mm-hmm. So, but for me, for my content strategy, I am specifically going after influencers in the WordPress space. Because I want them to share my content with their audiences who are also interested in WordPress. And I'm not necessarily thinking about who is going to buy my product, except the fact that I'm writing content based around my sort of core competencies for my product, which is like sales and conversions and traffic and stuff like that for WordPress sites. And as long as I write stuff about that, I'm going to get the right type of customer, or the right type of person coming to my site And then I can worry about kind of who exactly that person is and how I message them later. But while I'm getting started, I don't need to talk to necessarily the person who's going to buy my product. I need to talk to the people who are going to share my content. And I think that's a problem specifically for sites that are just starting out. But I also think that any site, even if you're an established e-commerce site and you start writing content where you didn't before, people might not be sharing it depending on what you're writing about. So anybody who wants more shares and more traffic, I think can use that same strategy.
And when is your strategy going to shift from influencers to audience personas, or is it?
I don't think it will ever shift. And I get this technique from this guy named Brian Dean. His site is backlinko.com. And he sort of shares this thing where he was doing SEO for an e-commerce site. It was like fitness related or something. And he was writing a bunch of articles about fitness that the customers loved, and they were like eating it up, and they loved it. But like, it wasn't getting more traffic. It wasn't getting any shares. It wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. And so he made this shift to where he started writing instead for the influencers in that space, who are like the trainers and the people who are making the exercise videos and the people who are selling the products and stuff, instead of the end customer. And once he did that, then his shares and his traffic went up, because then those people shared it. Because the problem is a lot of times this end customer is not the person. They might consume the content, but they're not going to share it. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for distribution, like shares and traffic, that you can't write for that customer, unless you have a different type of strategy going on.
So I don't know if you're a student of Gary Vaynerchuk, but he talks about this extensively, actually. He does a lot of the things that you've discussed, calling people up, getting backlinks, getting all those kinds of things. But he also talks about not trying to go for the Instagram person with 10 million followers, but going for 10 of the people with consistent engagement on their Instagram profiles, for example. Maybe they only have 100 maybe they only have 1,000 followers on Instagram, but they consistently get 16 to 40 comments. So what do you have to say about like the big names versus the people who constantly engage their audience as micro influencers?
Yeah, no, I only try to write articles that people I know by name and have the contact info for, and who I know or at least have a good idea that will share my content. And those are the people that I go after. People with, a couple thousand Twitter followers. I don't need someone with 100,000 Twitter followers to share my article. Or not, I shouldn't say I don't need it, but I don't know those people, and going after them doesn't make any sense for me. I would rather go after 5 to 10 people that I know personally that have, 2,000 to 5,000 Twitter followers, or who are like, on Facebook or whatever. And that gets me much farther. And it's probably a slower build than if you have somebody like Gary Vee is going to retweet you or whatever. But like, it would be much harder for me to go after the big names. Right. And so I just don't even try at this point.
Right. So you're working on relationship marketing and building on the relationships that you already have.
Yeah, definitely. And writing, I write contents that these people like provides value to them. Like I wrote an article about WooCommerce statistics. I got Chris Lemma had a quote in it, and he shared it. And there's a lot of people who are interested in WooCommerce, and using the statistics are something that they can actually share with their clients. They can say, hey, look, you were talking about using WooCommerce. Here's some stats on it. They can link to it in their blog post. They can say, hey, here's an article about how to sell dog food with WooCommerce. By the way, WooCommerce is used by 3 million websites in 2017, like link to my site, and then continue with their article. And so like I specifically wrote that article to get backlinks and shares, and it did pretty well. And I had for me, I think it did really well, like something like 45 or 46 shares, which is a lot for me, like just starting out. And I think it's going to gain backlinks over time. Because it's just useful. So, I don't know.
Well, you're going for quality at that point. You weren't going for quantity.
Yeah, quality, but there's an important distinction, because I can write a fantastic post that's about something I'm interested in, but that doesn't mean anyone else is interested in it. So it's not just quality. It's also like talking about something that brings value to other people, that they're talking about, that they want to share. So it really is about everyone else, not about what I think is quality.
Right. It's about being a resource to your audience, and you are not your audience. So
Right.
because I'm in the nonprofit sector, and we always say donations are e-commerce, what would you say about nonprofits using something like Hollerbox?
I think it'd be fantastic because it's free. So, I mean, and nonprofits, like they like free stuff, right? Everybody does.
Great article on givewp.com. I might know somebody who would let you blog. Wink,
Ooh,
wink, nudge, nudge.
there
No,
you go.
but seriously, like, what kind of e-commerce sites does this work best for? Is it the one-page quick checkout? Is it like the catalog of auto parts? Is there any kind of e-commerce that you're kind of niching out with this tool?
I don't think that it needs to be a specific niche in e-commerce, because we're all doing the same thing. We're all just selling stuff online. We're trying to get subscribers to our email list. We're trying to sell more stuff. We're trying to, get more traffic. It's all the same, really. So, so the thing I like about Hollerbox is it's just a simple way to show little notifications, like if you have like a webinar and you don't want to, write about a huge blog post, you don't want to put together some major like campaign with a really complicated tool. You just want to say, hey, here, sign up for my webinar. Here's a link. Like, use that. If you want to show little sales notifications, you want to have a little email opt-in, things like that, then Hollerbox is great for that. And obviously, it's one of my competitive advantages is that it's free. It's on the WordPress.org repository, which was on purpose, because there's a lot of competition with pop-up plugins. And one of the ways that I can kind of get my foot in the door is by just kind of offering a free plugin that has a lot of features.
Yeah, we love the freemium model. So here's the thing. There's this Gary Vee episode. I love Gary Vee. I'm super behind, but sometimes I watch these small ones where he talks about a restaurateur talks to the caller, and they talk about I know that you mentioned discounts, so I'm going to ask your opinion on this because it's relevant to e-commerce people and actually us in the plugin space or the theme building space. The guy said this: people get addicted to discounts, they don't get addicted to free. So what is your stand on discounting your product versus just offering it for free or just standing by your prices?
Yeah, so I mean, I wrote a really big post about this, and I got a lot of people to chime in, including Matt Cromwell. And there was some really great discussion, like in the comments. I would definitely recommend reading that article, but that's on the Hollerbox blog. But basically what it came down to is that, yes, if you use discounts in the wrong way, it is bad for your brand, it's bad for business, because your customers, if you do a discount like every other week, then when somebody's interested in purchasing your product, they're just going to wait for a discount if there's not one. You train them to wait for discounts. But if you use them strategically, like for example, if you use segmenting with your discounts, so let's say twice a year you run a big promotion that everybody knows about, but in between that you segment your customers and you say, I'm going to send this only to people on my email list who haven't opened any of my emails in the past like month or 2 months or whatever. Then and then the next promotion you send, you say, hey, I'm only going to send a promotion for like upgrading from my like standard bundle to my pro bundle or whatever. And in that way, you can make sure that you don't overuse the discounts, you don't kind of wear it out. So, and people have different opinions on this, and there's a lot of great discussion that happened in the, like I know Tony Perez from Security, they basically don't discount their products. I know I've talked to Devin about this.
It's Oakley model.
Yeah, Oakley or Apple. So like Devin and Matt are both kind of opposed to discounts. I personally, I used to be feel that same way. I personally think that it's a mistake to not ever do discounts, but it's up to you and your brand and what you want to do. I just think saying that discounts hurt your brand is not true. I think if you use discounts correctly, then or if you use them incorrectly, then it does hurt your brand. That's definitely true.
So the segue is, so with this Hollerbox, and you get to collect the email, with the opt-in, you know, you're collecting email. What are you giving in return?
Right. Well, okay, this is an important point
So if you're not
too.
giving a discount, what are they getting? Why am I giving you my address just to get this thing off my screen? Are you giving me a white paper? Do I get to learn Scotty's 7 secrets of building apps and JavaScript? I mean, what is it that you're giving me, friend? Because I just, you know, why do I have to get my email? I don't want 1,000 emails. You know what happens to me? I'll just say this really quick while you prepare mentally for this answer. Okay. I am the nicest lady on the internet, but I am sarcastic. But you know what I do is I subscribe to all these emails, and I'm the reason why your open rate is so low, because I won't unsubscribe because unicorns cry when another content marketer unsubscribes. I just delete. I just never open it, delete it.
Yeah. Well, okay.
What am I getting?
First of all, I'm going to go delete you from all my lists manually so that my open rate goes up.
I never subscribed to you personally, but I'm just saying, like, it's happened. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there was 2 things in there before you went off on your little tangent. So the first one is I would say don't offer a discount to get people on your email list. I personally think that that's being lazy and that it's bad for business, because if you give someone a discount before you even like talk to them for the first time, like they come to your site and you're like, hey, here's a discount. Hey, here's a discount. You're basically being Walmart, you know, like you're going to be the low price guy. You're going to be the discount guy. And that's okay if that's your strategy. If you're like doing discounts 100% of the time is a valid strategy and it works. Like obviously, like a lot of people do that. But you can either do that or you need to be more strategic. So the other thing is, like, what are you offering people with the opt-in? This is super important because it doesn't matter how great your pop-up or your opt-in form is or your pictures or whatever. If you're not offering people something that's of value to them, it doesn't matter where you put it or how you show it. Like the message is more important than the medium. So like, you know, you could use Hollerbox or Opt-in Monster or whatever, and you could be like, oh, my opt-in rate is so terrible. These plugins suck. It's not the plugins. It's the thing that you're offering is not of value to your customers or to your visitors. So you need to change that up and offer something of more value.
That's a really good answer.
Unless Bridget's coming to your site, then just hide all your opt-in forms.
Oh, man. I have to be controversial. That's my job. It's, you know, I can't agree with everything, but that was actually really good.
So are you doing any dripping through when somebody goes and signs up? It's like I just signed up right now. Dripping. I just signed up right now. Yeah, but are you dripping?
Can you like explain that just in case nobody knows what that is? It's not about the
it's like chapters in a book. It's like you signed up and then they send you chapter 1 and then they send you chapter 2 later and they send you chapter 3 later, and everybody goes on the exact same journey. And they all make it to the end where you may end up getting a 50% discount for blah 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 or whatever, like by sticking around.
Choose your own adventure book.
Yeah, but there's no choices. You just keep getting this email that everyone else is getting, but they're all getting at different times, even though it's kind of all happening there. I mean, are you doing that, or are you just kind of doing where it's like whenever I send out an email, then you're gonna get it?
So with Hollerbox, I have not set up a drip sequence yet, and that's just totally my fault. I can talk about what we do with AppPresser. We use ConvertKit, and basically that allows you to create drip campaigns. There's other providers that do that as well, but you know, when you sign up, you get sort of the whatever you signed up for, like here's your ebook or whatever. Then like 3 days later, you get another email saying, hey, here's some more content about that. Then like 5 days later, you get another email, hey, here's something else. Another 5 days later, maybe you kind of introduce your product and then do a soft sell, whatever. One thing I will say that's an interesting tip, which I am not doing, but I need to be doing. I heard this from Neil Patel. What he does is when you sign up for a drip content course like that, what he does is he sends the same email over and over until you click the link in the email. And he basically changes the title, like the subject line and the content of the email, but it's the same thing. So like if it's an invitation to a webinar or something, it'll be like, hey, sign up for my webinar. Oh, you know, a couple days later, I saw you didn't sign up for my webinar. You know, I'm having another one. Here it is. Oh, you know, here's the recording for it. Oh, I'm having another one, things like that. But basically, he has the sequence. And so one of the things that doesn't work with drip sequences is if you send people these emails and they don't open any of them, or they just open like the last one, then they didn't go through your sequence. But if you wait until they get through the first part of your sequence by like tracking the conversions on it, and then you move them to the next part of the sequence once they've made that action, then this is a much better way of doing it. I have not set my ConvertKit up to do that yet, but I really like that strategy because it makes sure that everybody sees what they need to see, but it gives them their own timeline for doing it. So like not everybody's going to need what you want to send like 3 days later, even though that's what you set. But maybe they're like really busy right now and they're going to look at it in 2 months. And that's okay. When they look at it in 2 months, then they'll get moved to the next part of the sequence. So I need to set that up personally because I really like that strategy.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, whenever I talk to somebody on any of our shows and they're like, "Oh, I sell a product," blah, 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 I always sign up and I'm like, okay, what are they doing next? Are they sending something? Are they going to bug me every 5 minutes? Or that's crazy about the idea of sending an email out every day, every other couple days. So it's like the Twitter. It's like Twitter where you're just blasting them with stuff over and over and over again.
Well, it's not like Twitter though, because Twitter, you get it when you want it. It's just you're there, you see this view.
But if you go on vacation, how crazy is that? You come back from vacation, there's like 9,000 emails.
No, you don't have to send them every day. I mean, you'd have to obviously like you space it out however you want to.
It's the guilt. It's guilt. It's guilt trip.
Yeah, Bridget. I'm gonna put you on my list, and I'm gonna make a special list just for you, and I'm put your email on it.
And I'm gonna
send you like 10 emails a day.
Just to stop the guilt. No, but like listen. I read things that matter to me. I have Alex Denning's email. I'm listening to Moz. I read things with Google. I read things from our competitors. I care about what people are doing. You know, it's a good way to for me as a content manager, right? I'm a marketing manager, but I also do the tactics of managing the content and social media. I want to curate my content, and I do that. I'm just giving you guys a hard time. But here's another thing. I know we only have 2 minutes. What do you think is the best time to be sending an email?
Friday.
I don't have a good answer for that. I've actually seen that sending in the evenings is best because people's inboxes are not as full, but I haven't tested it personally.
I will tell you what I do, and we just started doing things at late afternoon, like 3 or 4 o'clock, but people are like, "Oh man, can I get out of this office now?" Because what I do when I first wake up, anything that's in my inbox, bye, goodbye to you. Click, 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 delete, delete. I don't care. Yoast, I don't want this. Click, 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 click. Like sometimes I'm like,
you just totally called out Yoast right there.
Well, they're 9 hours ahead, so they send it to my inbox when I'm out. I'm like, unless I don't care about local SEO today. Sorry, Yoast. It's not that I don't want that article. It's I don't want to start my day with a bunch of work that I'm behind on. I don't want to start feeling behind on my work. But when I get something later, I'm like, oh, local SEO with Yoast. I definitely want to read this because I need a total break.
Have you guys tried this with Give? Have you seen her open rates?
Yep. We did it on accident because I was late. Because I normally like 9 o'clock.
I did it on accident because you were late.
Yeah, I like to be the 9 o'clock ding. I mean, I'm new to WordPress. I'm not new to content marketing. I've been doing this for a long time, 10 years, 8 years. But the thing is that I want to be the ding in your inbox. In construction, we start at 7. I'm at 9 o'clock. I'm the ding in your inbox, right? So. I was late getting an email approved, so we sent it like 3:55, 4:25. Well, that's 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock here, and it's like 1 something in Hawaii, right? So like people are like, oh, I don't feel like working, I just ate, or oh, let's just stay over. Like people will look at that, like retail people do that. It's like, oh, let's stop at Old Navy on the way home. Even Old Navy, who I love, if they send it to me when I don't want it, it's gone. Because I want it when I want it. I don't want to feel like I'm behind on my work because you want to send me an email at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, yeah, next week I'm sending out my emails in the afternoon. I'm going to see if my open rates go up.
Well, and some of these
try it. Why not?
Some of these services also do time shift, so you could just say, "I want 7 o'clock, and I want you to detect where they're at in the world, and send out an email then." So
MailChimp does it, but it's for the paid people.
Yeah.
Right.
Folks, that's about it. It's 8 o'clock. I want to say thank you very much for all of you hanging out in here. And man, social media is going nuts on this. I appreciate people sharing stuff and telling people, hey, come take a look at what's going on over on WPblab. So I really appreciate that. Make sure you go over to Scott's site and go click on one of his little fake chat boxes and type in your email address, and he'll start sending you emails. So make sure you do that. I'd appreciate appreciate that.
HollerWP.com. Hey, do you want higher traffic conversions? It only says yes. It doesn't give me a no option. Come on, Scott.
Right.
I want to be able
Why would
to
you
feel
not
like
want
my
that?
voice is counted.
Why would you not want that?
Because I don't have the staff to have more. I'm giving you a hard time.
Lastly, go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. You can click on the links there to subscribe. If you really like this content, hit the thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. And if you like this stuff, you want to hear about it all the time, we don't send out the emails, but
No,
YouTube will
YouTube
send out an email. They'll send out an email and they'll tell you, look, here's all the really cool stuff that's going on. So make sure you go over there. Yeah, we send them out as well. So go do that. And lastly, if you enjoyed this content, hit the little share button. Tell somebody else about it. If somebody's trying to get into doing any type of marketing, special social media type stuff, because that's stuff we talk about here, please do that. We would appreciate it. Talk to y'all later. Scott, thank you for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. Bridget, you have a good rest of your night. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.